Reincarnation is not a belief, it is the soul's memory. I am not writing these lines to convince you to believe in reincarnation. The truth is, the soul does not need belief. The soul only needs to be remembered. Paramahansa Yogananda once said, in the spirit of the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gitas, that humans are not born and die, only the physical body changes. Consciousness continues its journey of learning. Reincarnation is the mechanism of consciousness that has not yet completed self-awareness. You are reborn not because you are sinful. You are reborn because you have not yet seen clearly who you are. When I look deeply into the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda, what moves me most is not the promise of liberation, but the boundless compassion contained in the law of reincarnation. The universe does not force you to attain enlightenment. The universe waits for you to mature. But here's a question few dare to ask. Are there souls that are nearing the completion of their learning cycle? Are there signs that consciousness is ready to leave the cycle of rebirth? Yogananda's answer is yes. Not through prophecy, but through the state of being. And the paradox lies here. Those who truly no longer rebirth often don't care whether they will be reborn or not. Because when you are preoccupied with the next life, it means you are still within time. Liberation, on the other hand, is stepping outside of time. Why does reincarnation occur? Yogananda's perspective. To understand the 7 signs of no more reincarnation, first, you and I need to clarify one very important thing. Reincarnation does not happen with the soul. Reincarnation happens with unseen desires. According to Paramahansa Yogananda, the soul is inherently free, eternal, and complete. But the soul wears 3 layers. The physical body, the instrument of experience. The energy and emotional body, where karma operates. The intellectual body, ego, where the self is formed. It is the unenlightened self that is reborn, not the soul. Yogananda explains. Each unfulfilled desire creates a pull. That pull needs a new body to continue the experience. You can imagine reincarnation as like reading a book halfway through. No one punishes you for not finishing it. You just naturally came back to read on. According to Yogananda, the law of cause and effect is not a law of punishment, but a law of vibrational balance. Every thought, emotion, and intention carries a frequency. Frequencies that are not in harmony will naturally find a suitable environment to complete. Therefore, you don't reincarnate because you are bad. You reincarnate because you haven't seen through. When a soul begins to realize it is not a body, not an emotion, not a personal story, the pull of reincarnation weakens. Yogananda calls this the stage. Consciousness returns to its source. 7 signs that you will not be reborn in the next life. I'm saying this up front, very clearly, so you don't misunderstand. These 7 signs are not for you to compare, judge, or self-proclaim. They only appear naturally when the ego has thinned. A person who is truly close to liberation never declares themselves liberated. Because the moment you still want to be recognized as finished is the moment the ego still remains. Sign 1, you no longer identify yourself with your body, mind, personal story. According to Paramahansa Yogananda, the origin of rebirth lies not in action, but in erroneous identification. You are reborn because you think, I am this body. I am this emotion. I am my past. When the first sign appears, you are still living as a normal person. But inside there is a very deep separation. You no longer say, I am suffering. But you naturally realize suffering is arising and I am seeing it. That small gap is the door to liberation. You still work, still love, still experience sadness and joy. But you are no longer swept away. Yogananda calls this state. The soul becomes the witness, not the actor. The soul becomes the witness, not the actor. When there is no longer identification, karma has no place to cling to. When there is no place to cling to, rebirth loses its pull. Sign 2. Personal desire naturally dissolves, without forcing it. This sign is very easily misunderstood. Those who are not ready often try to eliminate desire, reject life, force themselves into purity. This does not lead to liberation, but to spiritual repression. Conversely, when this sign appears, desire is not suppressed. It falls away on its own, like leaves falling when the season passes. You can still eat well, live beautifully, be creative, work. But there is no longer a feeling of lack inside. You no longer think, I will only be happy when I have this. Instead, whether I have it or not, I am still complete. According to Yogananda, desire is the thread that binds the soul to the cycle of rebirth. When the thread is gone, the soul has no reason to return. Sign 3. You no longer fear death, nor do you cling to life. This is an extremely important sign. Those who fear death still cling to the body. Those who cling to life still fear loss. But those who are close to liberation do not stand at either extreme. You do not try to prolong life through panic. You also do not wish to die to escape the world. You simply see very clearly. Life comes, I accept it. Life goes, I let go. Yogananda teaches that death is only frightening to the ego, never to the soul. When you truly know you are not the physical body, death becomes a change of clothes, not an end. And when the fear of death disappears, one of the greatest motivations for reincarnation disappears with it. Sign 4. You are living in a state of continuous observation. This sign isn't loud, but if it appears, you won't be able to go back to how things used to be. You begin to see. Thoughts come and go. Emotions arise and disappear. Circumstances are constantly changing. And there's one thing that remains constant: awareness. You don't need to meditate all day. You might be walking, cooking, talking, but inside there is always a space of stillness. Yogananda calls this living in God consciousness while acting in the world. When you live like this, karma is no longer accumulated, because karma only arises when there is someone who identifies with it. Sign 5. Your love is no longer conditional. This is one of the most beautiful signs. You don't love because that person makes you happy. That person is like you. That person meets your expectations. You love because your heart is open. You can still leave if necessary. You can still say no. But there is no more resentment. Yogananda emphasizes, unconditional love is the closest vibration to God. When you love without demanding, you no longer create relationship karma, one of the most powerful causes of rebirth. Signature 6. Old karma fruits quickly and ends quickly. This is a sign that very few people understand. When consciousness is high, karma no longer lingers. Everything comes quickly, goes quickly. No more entanglement or repetition. You may encounter challenges, but you won't be stuck in them for years like before. Yogananda calls this burning karma in the fire of awareness. This is the stage where the soul is packing its bags. Sign 7, you no longer search for enlightenment, you dwell in it. This final sign is paradoxical. You no longer hunt for teachers, no longer accumulate techniques, no longer compare yourself to anyone, not because you achieve, but because you realize you have never lacked. Yogananda said, enlightenment is not an achievement, it is a remembrance. When there is no more searching, the cycle of rebirth closes in silence. A message. If you read this far and think, perhaps I have some signs, I invite you not to jump to conclusions. Liberation needs no label. The only thing that matters is backhand index pointing right. How mindful are you living today? Dangerous misconceptions. On the path to liberation. The path to liberation is not dangerous because it is difficult, but dangerous because the ego is very good at disguising itself as enlightened. Below are some misconceptions I want you to clearly identify. Misconception 1: the more asceticism, the easier it is to achieve liberation. This is one of the oldest misconceptions. Many people think the more suffering, the more rejection of the body, the more self-purification, the faster enlightenment. Yogananda teaches very clearly, the body is not the enemy of the soul. Ignorance is the enemy. Asceticism does not create enlightenment. Enlightenment is what makes suffering disappear. Misconception 2: escaping life is liberation. There are people who abandon their families, their responsibilities, and society, but carry with them their entire unenlightened self. The result is a change of context, but the mind remains the same. Yogananda said, you can escape the world, but you cannot escape yourself. Liberation lies not in where you live, but in how you are present. Misconception 3: having a spiritual experience equals enlightenment. Light, vibrations, visions, trance states, all are just phenomena. If you cling to the experience, recount it to prove it, compare it with others, backhand index pointing right, you are losing the core. Yogananda emphasizes, enlightenment is not what you see, but what you become. MISM 4: feeling you understand better than others. This is the most subtle trap. The moment you think, I understand more deeply than them, that moment, the spiritual ego has emerged. The most subtle karma is forming. Those who truly see are always humble, not because they try, but because they have no one left to be proud of. MISM 5: wanting to end the journey. Many people want, it's over, it's finished, it's out of this cycle. But Yogananda teaches, life is not about ending, but about realizing the truth. When you no longer want it to end, the journey closes on its own. Paramahansa Yogananda. And the path of self-awareness, a straight, non-directed path. If I had to summarize the entire teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda in a single sentence, I would say this. Don't try to become something else, realize who you are. This is the fundamental difference between self-awareness and most other spiritual paths. 1. Yogananda doesn't teach you to go in search of God. Most people enter spirituality with an implicit assumption. God is somewhere far away, and I have to strive to reach Him. Yogananda completely reverses this assumption. He says, you cannot find God because you have never left Him. The problem is not distance, but the obscuration of the mind. Rebirth, according to Yogananda, doesn't happen because you lack something, but because you forget who you are. 2. Self-realization is not an experience, it is an awakening. Many people turn to yoga, meditation, kriya, mantras, hoping to have special feelings, a state of ecstasy, a transcendent for self-awareness and the cessation of rebirth. According to Yogananda, rebirth continues because some people think I am the doer. Some people think I am the sufferer. When self-awareness occurs, there is no longer a doer. There is no longer a karma bearer. Only life unfolds in mindful awareness. And when there is no longer a subject to accumulate karma, the cycle of rebirth closes itself as a complete circle. No declaration needed. No proof needed. No prior knowledge needed. 5. Yogananda does not teach you to escape from life, but to live fully in life. A major misconception is thinking that this path is for those who withdraw. The truth is the opposite. Yogananda teaches to live in the world, to work, to love, to serve, but not to lose yourself in it. When you live fully without being swept away, you have no reason to go back and relearn the old lessons. Namaste.